Welcome to the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown, New York. I'm Lindsay Berra, joined by American League home run champ Carlos Peña, curator Erik Strohl, and we're talking about the Hall of Fame Connections episode, From a Triple Play to Shohei. So we're going from a major league first, all the way to baseball in Japan, through two very famous two-way players.
Yeah, indeed we are. And, you know, talking about unassisted triple plays, it's one of those events, one of the rarest things in baseball, less unassisted triple plays than even perfect games. And it's that moment in time where the ball, the runners, the fielders are all in perfect position. Exactly. Right? So it takes a lot of luck, but it also takes a lot of skill and being able to realize very quickly what's going on, right, to take advantage of it. We have a couple things out here for the first acknowledged unassisted triple play. There was one in 1878, which is still in dispute amongst historians on whether it was an unassisted triple play or not. The first acknowledged one happened in 1909, Cleveland against Boston, and Cleveland's shortstop Neal Ball. And it was it's how most of them happened. Men on first and second, no outs, line drive, infielder catches it, steps on the base and tags a runner. Right? This the easiest standard way to do it. When Neal Ball did it in 1909, we'll get our gloves out so we can look at this.
So, okay, step in a second base, you catch the line drive, you're second baseman?
Yeah, so it's one catch, one step, one tag.
Man.
Just like that, bang, bang, bang.
Yes.
Now, so nobody had seen this before, and they really didn't know what had happened. Cy Young was pitching, by the way.
Oh.
And so, as Ball said, he didn't realize, he didn't actually get to it was a sharp line drive. He did get to it, fell right down at the base. And then those plays occurred, and he just started walking off the field. And Cy Young said, "Neal, where are you going?" He said, 3 outs. They didn't, nobody even, and when the fans realized what happened, they gave him a huge ovation. Everybody threw their hats on the field. It took about 20 minutes to pick up everything and clean it off.
It's like a hat trick.
But that's not it. I mean, quite a day for Neal Ball. In the bottom of the inning, he hits his first major league home run.
Oh, wow.
Over the head of Tris Speaker, who's one of the best center fielders of all time, still the all-time leader in outfield assists. I don't know if that's ever happened in the same inning, an assisted triple play and a home run.
Have a day. Have an inning, right?
Yeah.
You made your day there for sure. You made your week with that one.
So it was acknowledged as being such an awesome and unprecedented event. He was presented with this medal, and I'll read it to you here. Presented by the fans of Cleveland through the newspaper, to commemorate the first unassisted triple play in Major League Baseball leagues, July 19th, 1909. The bases are diamonds, and it's got his name at the top of it.
That's nice.
So handle carefully.
Yes.
How did you guys come to get this?
So that was donated by him.
Wow, look at that right there.
It's really pretty. What I definitely notice about this medal right away is that the diamonds, there's not a ton of them, but it's beautiful. And I feel like so many of the World Series rings nowadays, they have so many diamonds that it all sorts of, it kind of fades into the background, where you see the old World Series rings and there's just a few diamonds. And this medal is really beautiful, like a lot of those old World Series rings.
Yeah, the medal makes it, like the diamonds, they really make it pop. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Now, this is the glove he used to do that.
Oh.
Oh, that must have been a very hard line drive because there's a hole.
There's a hole right in the middle. So this wasn't donated until the 50s. And there was a sports writer who was good friends with him. And at one point he was visiting with Neal Ball, he lived in Connecticut, and said, "Do you still happen to have the glove?" He's like, "I don't know. I think so. Let's go upstairs." They went upstairs. They found it in a trunk. And he's like, "That really belongs in the Hall of Fame." And Neal's like, "Oh, you think so?"
How about this?
So the sports writer wrote the Hall and said, "Do you guys want it?" Of course, our director was like, "Are you kidding?" "Yes, please send the glove." And we have his jersey as well that he wore. But again, right, I mean, you're seeing the evolution from just the 5-finger working man's glove to you're starting to see what will become the webbing. Yeah, I mean, you're not catching anything in there, obviously.
Forget one-handed catches. I mean, that's a two-hand catch for sure.
Yeah.
That's a 110-year-old glove, and that one particularly, the leather looks like in really good shape.
Yeah. It does, remarkably.
So in the episode that we just watched, we went straight from Neal Ball to Babe Ruth, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently, and we're going to use this photo, and we're going to talk about some additional things.
Cool.
So one of Neal Ball's teammates in Cleveland was a guy named Addie Joss, and Addy Joss may be the best pitcher that you haven't heard of. For 9 years in early American League history, he had 421 seasons, 2 ERA titles, a no-hitter, a perfect game, 7 one-hitters, and the second lowest ERA of all time.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Not bad.
Unfortunately, spring training in 1911, he wasn't feeling well. They're in Tennessee in spring training, and he collapses on the field while talking to one of his friends. Described it as pleurisy at the time. What he actually had was tubercular meningitis.
Oh, man.
And he was dead within a few days.
Oh my goodness.
So that was really obviously a tragedy for him and his family. You have to remember, long before the Union Pension Fund, there was no safety net for his wife and kids. So Ban Johnson says, let's plan a game later in the year on an off day, and we'll have the rest of the American League teams send players to League Park in Cleveland, and we'll play an all-star game, and we'll give the proceeds to Addie Joss's family.
Wow.
So they do that, and what happens is you get probably the greatest conglomeration of talent on one baseball field up until that point, and certainly until they actually start the real all-star game in 1933. So this is in effect an all-star game just for the American League, and this is a picture behind us here of that team. 9 Hall of Famers played in the game, and a very young shoeless Joe Jackson, controversially not in the Hall of Fame because of the Black Sox scandal. Otherwise, we would have had 10 Hall of Famers in this photo. Now that is impressive enough, right? But I think there's something even more fun about this photo. So this is a panoramic photo taken by a photographer
I was
who's
about to ask.
Yeah. This
a
is
certain
the famous-
distance, a certain distance away, right? And it's on a tripod, and it slowly moves. So you can't move, right? Or you're going to be blurry, and you're going to go from one end of the photograph to the other.
You can't blink either.
Well, yeah, you don't want to do that. So this guy here, the guy third from left, is a guy named Jack Graney, and he was outfielder and leadoff hitter for the Cleveland Naps. After the camera leaves and moves, he runs behind the photographer and inserts himself over here.
No way. Wait a second.
So he's in the picture twice.
No
This is
way.
called the pizza run,
pizza
right?
run.
The pizza run.
Yeah. Now we're going to connect to Babe Ruth. So Jack Graney, he was a broadcaster, and he was a Canadian guy, and one of the first ball players to become a broadcaster.
All right.
Which is very common now,
Yeah.
isn't it?
He was a pioneer.
He was a
I gotta
pioneer.
thank him for what I
You
do
should.
now,
He
right?
paved the way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
He also was the first player to ever walk out on the field with the uniform number on. The Indians in 1916 experimented with uniform numbers on their sleeves. Lasted only a few weeks, but it was also, just like the Yankees later, it was based on the batting order. So he batted first, he was number 1, he was the first guy to step on the field in Major League history with a number on his uniform.
Oh, about that.
And then he was also the first person to ever face Babe Ruth as a pitcher. The first game Babe Ruth ever pitched in 1914 was with Boston. He was pitching for Boston against Cleveland. Graney's the leadoff hitter. First person to ever face Babe Ruth as a Major League pitcher. So that connects us to Ruth in a very much roundabout way, but I think unbelievably cool. And the final note is they made $12,000 on that game, and that went to Joss and his family. Yep.
Excellent. Good cause.
We're now back to Ruth, and Ruth as a two-way player, right? So Ruth starts off as a pitcher for Boston, and this ball is one of the balls he pitched for one of his 23 victories in 1916. This one is against the Senators April 17th.
Let's see. Look at that.
It's
Look,
cool.
you can feel the seams too.
Yeah,
Totally
this one, it's
different,
a little-
right?
Yeah.
Not as raised.
We were talking about how this ball, you don't see them shellacked anymore, but this ball was shellacked they thought, to preserve it.
Their heart was in the right place. They thought, let's cover it with something to protect it. They didn't realize that sometimes, shellac or lacquer will turn brown over time. So we've got a lot of balls in our collection that, may have been donated one way and a little browner than they were intended.
Yeah.
So he won 23 games that year, 1.75 ERA, and threw 9 shutouts, which is still the record for a left-handed pitcher in the American League, tied by Ron
amazing.
Guidry at one point. Yeah.
And about
And that's the
bat.
Babe's bat.
I
So
wanna
now,
talk
yeah,
about
so
the
now he
bat.
gets to become a two-way player fully in 1918. Is the first time he actually starts, playing the field and batting while he doesn't pitch. So why don't we check that one out? Now, Carlos, before we do that, what size bat did you use?
34-inch bat.
Yeah, what weight?
34, 32 ounces. 34 inches, 32 ounces.
So tell me if you think you'd get around on this one.
Let's see. Oh my gosh.
Right.
This is huge.
So my grandpa, who was much littler than Babe Ruth, used a 34, 35-ounce
Yeah.
bat. So this one's got to be heavier.
We're kind of.
That's
It has to
40.
be. This is a 36-inch, 40-ounce bat. Can you imagine trying to hit with this thing?
No. How about Mariano Rivera's cutter, bearing into your hands with that bat? It would be almost impossible to get the barrel to it.
Almost impossible, but if you did get it around with this weight, this might be the only bat that Mariano's cutter wouldn't break.
Agreed. Agreed. But man, I would like to see Babe Ruth try to hit Mariano Rivera with that type of action on that cutter.
He's
with
Babe
that
Ruth.
bat.
He's Babe Ruth, though. Maybe he could do it.
That's true. That's true. Lindsay, please.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. I'm holding Babe Ruth's bat right here. This is incredible. You can really drive the ball with this thing. But getting the barrel to it, you need some serious strength and skill, no doubt.
You know, Louisville Sluggard keeps great records which is a Louisville Sluggard. It's hard to see the trademark with the grime on this one, but the heaviest bat they have on record for him is 52 ounces in spring of 1920. Not used in a game, so either one, he's screwing around, you know, in spring training just to see what he could do, but even more likely is you use a very heavy bat. It's the idea of bat weights now.
Yeah, exactly.
Pre-donut.
Has to be.
It's a 3-4 donut bat. Yeah.
Has to be. And how about this one right here?
So we're talking about two-way players, and that gets us to Shohei, who everyone says he's the best two-way player since Babe Ruth, and I think it's hard to argue against that. 2018 when he starts out, and we see him both pitching unbelievably and hitting home runs. This year he started off pretty well too, right? And this bat was about second home run of the year. Hits a first pitch out of like 115 mile an hour swing velocity. So he throws 100, swings 100.
Extra velocity. Yeah, this is unreal.
It's the best way to stay loose, though. More people should do it.
But
He's having a heck of a season.
We're talking about heavy bats, and okay, grab this one right
This is
away.
gonna be like
and then the difference.
That.
No, it's like a toothpick now.
Like,
yeah.
oh,
And also, the handle is much thinner.
lot
Like
thinner.
Hold it just in your fingers. That one, you have to put your whole hand around it.
Yeah, which is when you have the thinner handle, it's a lot easier to whip through the zone.
Sure.
This one, being so thick, you almost have to muscle it through the zone. So
Also, why these break so much more easily, though, with all that
Exactly.
weight concentrated
Yeah.
on the head.
And this is, you know, this is kind of getting in between. If you look at an old Honus Wagner bat or the Ty Cobb bats where their hands are, you know, they're holding their hands apart, and this is very thick. They're very, not too much tapering. And so now you're getting in between that and that, really, here, right? I mean, this isn't quite as narrow, but it's not quite as thick as either extreme.
Yeah.
Some nails in that.
they all have the
Nails.
the benefits and the thinner handle, you whip it through, but it also easy to roll over pitches. With the thicker handle, you stay on pitches more. This is really cool.
It was really neat. Thank you so much for showing them to us. It was really cool to hold both of those, especially back to back, to feel the difference. If you're interested in the people, places, and artifacts featured in this episode, go to baseballhall.org, where you can plan your visit to the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown, New York, and discover your own connections to the game.
Thanks for watching. For more incredible stories, check out our Hall of Fame Connection series. And don't forget to subscribe. Plaque!